Welcome to our Trump briefing program. Today, we dive into the escalating trade war as President Trump announces a staggering 50% tariff on Canadian steel and aluminum, sparking tensions and market reactions. This bold move comes in retaliation for Ontario's electricity surcharge, raising eyebrows and concerns across industries reliant on these materials. Canada is not taking this lying down, with retaliatory tariffs already in the works. In other news, a recent study from McGill University reveals that Conservative MPs in Canada are crushing their Liberal and NDP counterparts in online engagement, especially on X, formerly Twitter. With a 52% surge in interaction since Elon Musk took over, the Conservative Party is leveraging social media as a vital tool ahead of the upcoming federal elections. This shift highlights the growing influence of online platforms in shaping political discourse. Lastly, we turn our attention to Greenland, where early parliamentary elections are underway. Amidst rising U.S. interest in this strategically located island, voters are casting their ballots while grappling with questions of independence from Denmark. With a strong desire for self-determination and control over their future, Greenlanders are making their voices heard in a landscape that attracts international attention due to the island's rich resources. Please continue to watch for more detailed coverage. The Toronto Star reports that President Donald Trump has announced a significant escalation in the U.S.-Canada trade war by doubling tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from Canada to 50%, effective Wednesday. This decision comes in retaliation to Ontario's 25% surcharge on electricity exports to the U.S. Analysts warn that this move will have profound implications for industries reliant on these materials, with Canadian steel supporting critical U.S. sectors such as defense and auto manufacturing. The report highlights that Canada exports 10 million tons of steel and 3 million tons of aluminum to the U.S. annually, contributing around $35 billion to the Canadian economy. Canadian manufacturers are voicing their concerns, emphasizing the intertwined nature of the North American steel and aluminum markets. In another report, the Toronto Star discusses a McGill University study revealing that Conservative MPs are outperforming their Liberal and NDP counterparts in online engagement, largely due to increased visibility on the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. The study notes a 61% increase in engagement with Conservative posts compared to those from other parties, with a notable 52% rise since Elon Musk took over the platform. Researchers attribute this trend to a self-reinforcing algorithm that favors right-wing content, exacerbated by Musk's own amplification of conservative ideas. As Canada approaches a federal election, the implications of this trend on political discourse and public opinion are significant. Lastly, the Toronto Star highlights the ongoing volatility of Trump's tariff threats against Canada, with new measures being introduced while others remain paused. The situation is fluid, and Canada has responded with its own tariffs on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods, signaling a robust counteraction to Trump's trade policies. Officials have indicated that they will not lift these retaliatory tariffs until the U.S. fully retracts its measures. The report underscores the uncertainty surrounding U.S.-Canada trade relations, with potential for further escalation if Trump continues his aggressive tariff strategy. The Toronto Star reports that U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a dramatic increase in tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, raising them to a staggering 50% effective Wednesday. This move comes in response to Ontario Premier Doug Ford's imposition of a surcharge on electricity exports to the U.S., which Trump perceives as a retaliatory measure. Trump has also threatened to target Canada's dairy and automotive sectors, claiming that the increased tariffs could devastate Canada's automobile manufacturing industry. In a heated exchange, Ford defended Ontario's decision and emphasized the need for negotiations rather than escalating tensions, suggesting that both countries should work together to avoid further damage, especially as global competitors like China watch the discord unfold. The Independent highlights the economic implications of Trump's tariff escalation, noting that the U.S. stock market has already reacted negatively to his trade policies, with significant drops in major indexes. Trump's insistence on doubling tariffs comes amidst fears of a looming recession, which has investors worried about the potential fallout from his aggressive trade war with Canada and other nations. The tariffs, which are expected to be borne by American consumers through higher prices, are part of Trump's broader strategy to reshape the American economy by prioritizing domestic production. However, critics point out that these tariffs could lead to job losses in Canada and raise costs for U.S. consumers, complicating the economic landscape further. In Greenland, as reported by the Toronto Star, early parliamentary elections are taking place amid heightened interest from the U.S. due to Trump's previous remarks about the island's strategic value. While Greenlanders are considering their future and the possibility of independence from Denmark, they remain adamant about their desire to control their own destiny rather than becoming part of the United States. The elections, which are expected to yield results that reflect a growing support for independence, are taking place in a festive atmosphere, with voters eager to assert their identity. Despite the international attention, local sentiments emphasize that Greenland is not for sale, and the community is focused on determining its path forward without external pressures. The Toronto Star reports that a coalition of prominent Canadian organizations has united to combat the looming housing crisis exacerbated by the U.S. trade war. The Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness, Habitat for Humanity Canada, and others have unveiled a comprehensive policy plan titled Housing Canada, a sovereign plan to protect Canadians and build a resilient housing system. This ambitious initiative outlines 10 actionable pillars aimed at creating a safety net for renters, doubling community housing, and ensuring access to essential land and infrastructure for building sustainable communities. Tim Richter, president of CAEH, emphasized the urgent need for collaboration across sectors to address the economic pressures that threaten housing security for millions of Canadians. In the midst of escalating tensions, U.S. President Donald Trump announced plans to double tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel to 50%, a move that sent shockwaves through the stock market and raised concerns about the stability of the Canadian housing market. The Toronto Star highlights that this decision is a direct response to Ontario's electricity surcharge, which has further complicated relations between the two nations. Trump's tariffs, viewed as a tactical maneuver in the ongoing trade war, have instilled a sense of uncertainty among Canadian businesses and consumers alike, with economists warning of potential job losses and increased costs for everyday necessities. As the trade war intensifies, the economic ramifications are felt deeply on both sides of the border. The Toronto Star notes that the Canadian real estate market is already under strain, with many Canadians struggling to find affordable housing. The potential for rising costs and job insecurity due to tariffs could push thousands further away from homeownership, exacerbating the crisis. Amid these challenges, the coalition's proactive approach aims to not only protect Canadians from the fallout of U.S. trade policies but also to build a resilient housing system that can withstand future economic shocks. The Toronto Star reports that U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to impose a staggering 50% tariff on all Canadian steel and aluminum imports, effective Wednesday, in response to Ontario Premier Doug Ford's recent decision to implement a 25% surcharge on electricity exports to the U.S. This sudden escalation has sent shockwaves through the markets, with significant declines in stock indexes on both sides of the border. Trump's announcement, made via Truth Social, came just hours after Ford's retaliatory move, which he described as a necessary response to U.S. tariffs on Canadian products. Ford, undeterred by Trump's threats, asserted that they would not back down and urged American CEOs to advocate for the removal of the tariffs, emphasizing the detrimental impact on U.S. manufacturers who rely on Canadian aluminum. The escalating trade tensions have intensified, with Trump also targeting Canadian dairy and automotive sectors, expressing his disdain for Ontario's electricity surcharge. As the situation unfolds, both leaders appear steadfast, with Ford declaring, "We will be relentless," while Trump continues to lash out against what he perceives as unfair trade practices. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Empty smiles, their words misleading. Power games in darkness.